Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's me again, Alex, and I'm back for another episode of my international student journey here in Canada. So for today's video, guys, I've been receiving a lot of requests to make this video because a lot of you has been asking on how to waive your English proficiency in your nursing application here in Canada. And so for today, we're gonna discuss it, and I hope this helps you. So without further ado, let's get started. So guys, disclaimer, I'm just gonna share with you the steps, the process that I took way back 2021, wherein I was able to waive my English proficiency. And so I didn't took all those English exams such as IELTS and CELBAN. So this was the process that I took, and I know you wanted also to waive your English proficiency because nobody wants to take those English exams. I mean, you can, but if we have the choice to not take those exams, we would gladly take those process or steps for us to, not worry too much about those exams because we've been through a lot of exams, right? Story time. 2019, I opened my NNAS account, and actually I asked one of the international students to help me with my application. Actually, the questions are pretty much self-explanatory, but I really wanted somebody to help me with it. So gladly she was able to help me. And so I know that time that I'll be moving to Nova Scotia. So one of the options is you have to choose which province you wanted to be assessed to become an RN. So I told her that I'll be moving to Nova Scotia and I wanted my application to be in Nova Scotia. So she said, okay, then change it to Nova Scotia instead of Ontario. But I can see in her face that she wasn't like agreeing, or she wasn't happy with my decision of putting Nova Scotia or choosing Nova Scotia as my main application. So I asked her, I said, do you think that's a good idea, or do you have any advice? What's your thoughts? And she said, honestly speaking, Ontario is one of the province that you could easily comply, and Ontario is the only province that you could waive your English proficiency. And so I didn't really understand. I asked, what do you mean by waive your English proficiency? She said, waive your English proficiency. One of the requirements of NNAS and your nursing body in the future will be for you to comply for English test. And so if you waive your English proficiency, you don't have to take those exams, your English exams. So I said, yeah, I don't want to take those English exams, so I'd rather stick to Ontario then. So she said, yes, you can stick to Ontario. You could put Ontario as your main application, and you could still add any province that you want. So if you wanted to apply in Nova Scotia, then put Nova Scotia in your application as well. So what happened was, my main application was in Ontario, so RN for Ontario and LPN, but in Nova Scotia it was just an RN. So I'll show you my NNAS account. So in the province of Nova Scotia, actually I didn't pursue my papers in in Nova Scotia. And so here you could say it's expired. So my main application is nursing group LPN RN in a nursing regulatory body is CNO. So the nursing regulatory body in Ontario is called CNO, or College of Nurses of Ontario. So since I was able to comply all the requirements, you can see that the report was issued. So it means that it shows there that I was comparable for RN. It shows expired. And in your NNAS account, one of the requirements as well is your language proficiency. So as you can see, passing language course, it says here waiting for initial document, because I didn't pursue my Nova Scotia application in my NNAS account. That's why it's all red. If you can see that others are identity documents and everything was met, right? So for the passing of language course, it's still waiting. But anyways, I didn't pursue my Nova Scotia application, so that's why it still says waiting for initial documentation. Way back in your application in my College of Nurses of Ontario, one of the options there is you just click waive English proficiency. You could waive your English proficiency in your NNAS application just by clicking that option. Now that you complete your requirements in your NNAS application, the next step would be to register in a specific nursing body that you wanted to apply. So in my case, my main application was in Ontario. So disclaimer, as far as I know, Ontario is the only province wherein you can waive your English proficiency. So it means you don't have to take English tests such as IELTS and CELBAN for you to comply those requirements. Now that you have your application or your registration in the College of Nurses of Ontario, there are 8 major requirements for you to complete and for you to be able to become a Canadian registered nurse in the province of Ontario. First is nursing education. Second is evidence of practice. Third is registration of exam. Fourth is jurisprudence exam. 5 is proficiency in English or French. 6 is authorization to work. 7, past offenses and findings. 8 is health and conduct. So for today's video, we'll be specifically talking and discussing about how to waive your English proficiency. So now that you know that there are 8 major requirements for you to comply, for you to be completely registered nurse in the province of Ontario, then let's proceed on the language proficiency. So I will put the link down below, guys, so you could read this, but let me read it for you here. So these are the acceptable evidence of proficiency. So first is completion of an approved nursing education program in English or French with a clinical component in any jurisdiction. Second, registration as a nurse in a Canadian jurisdiction. Third, successful results in one of CNO's approved language proficiency tests. So this would be IELTS and CELBAN. Fourth is additional nursing education in English or French. Fifth, practice experience as a nurse in a predominantly English or French setting. 6, experience working in a healthcare setting providing services in English or French in Canada, or completion of a healthcare or healthcare support program in English or French in Canada. So as you can see, these are the things that we could consider for us to waive our English proficiency. In my case, I was working as a continuing care assistant, so I was able to provide my English proficiency. So that's why I was able to waive my English proficiency, because I was working as a continuing care assistant in a nursing home, and so through that, I was able to waive my English proficiency. Now, in my case, I belong on applicants with experience working in healthcare services in English or in French. So applicants meet the language proficiency requirements where they have experience providing health and personal support care services to patients in English or French in Canada, and their level of proficiency is verified by a regulated health professional who works directly with the applicant in the healthcare setting. So this would be your employer and the nurses as well. So language proficiency will be met for 2 years from the last date where the applicant worked or practiced. In my case, last year, I was actually working as a CCA while I was working on my application to waive my English proficiency. So I'll show you the forms that you can download in the website, in CNO website. And then after that, as you can see in section 1, applicant information, you just have to fill up those information, your first name, your last name, your CNO application ID, category of application, RN, RPN, or NP, and the date of birth. On section 2, you can read the instructions. So instructions for the regulated healthcare professional. So I would suggest, like what I did, I gave 1 for the HR and 2 for my supervisors. So I asked 2 of my supervisors were the RN and LPN. So on this part, they will provide their first name, last name, their registration number. It's all gonna be about them. And so here on the 3rd page, they could see that they just have to click information that is applicable to you. So since it's not education setting, it's employment setting. So they just have to check that box, and then yeah, let them fill up the other forms: reading, speaking, writing, listening, and then they'll put their signature and date at the bottom. So now that you were able to provide this form to your employer, to your supervisors, then ask them to send it to the CNO through email or fax. Actually, it is found in the top part on the forms. So just ask them to send it through fax or through email. And then for you, just wait at least 5 working days, and then you try to call the CNO if just to verify if they received the forms. And then after that, ask them for how long would it take for them to review your application, and then just keep an eye on it. And I mean, you will be able to waive your English proficiency through that. So now you know on how to process for you to be able to waive your English proficiency. So let's sum it up. So first is you open your an account for NNAS, and then choose Province of Ontario, and then in your NNAS application, just click the waive part wherein you could just waive your English proficiency. And after you comply all your requirements in your NNAS, and then registered to the nursing body, which is College of Nurses of Ontario, and then in the English proficiency part, download those forms. Make sure that you're working in one of the healthcare professionals such as CCA or personal support worker, or if you're working in a nursing home, download those forms, and then let your supervisors, let's say 2 nurses and one of your HR, to fill up those forms. And then after they fill up those forms, let them send it to the CNO, and then call the CNO after 5 working days, ask them, verify them if they receive your forms, and then ask them if there's going to be additional requirements that you need to provide, and make sure that you didn't miss anything. And then after that, just wait for it, and actually they will send you an email if there's going to be additional requirements. So here's additional tip. If you have your active license in Ontario, you could just simply transfer your license from Ontario to a specific nursing body or to a specific province that you want to work. For example, you have your complete application in the province of Ontario, you have your active license, and you're here in Nova Scotia. So you just have to transfer your application, or your license, from the College of Ontario to the College of Nova Scotia. So you don't need to take English exam in Nova Scotia, since you were able to comply all the requirements. You have the active license in Ontario. What I mean is, if you apply directly to the College of Nurses of Nova Scotia, then they will ask you to provide English tests. So you're gonna have to take those exams, right? So as what I'm saying earlier, as far as I know, I'm not sure if the other province it's the same, but as far as I know, if you apply directly to the specific nursing body, especially here in Nova Scotia, they're gonna ask you for an English test. But if you have your license in Ontario, you just have to transfer it to Nova Scotia, then you do not have to take the exams. So if you don't want to take the exams, English exams, first thing to do is to apply or to register in the College of Nurses of Ontario. And then after you comply all the requirements, just transfer your license. So I hope this helps you, and I hope I was able to deliver it properly. And if you have questions, kindly comment down below. Guys, thank you so much for watching, and please don't forget to like and subscribe, and see you in my next video. Bye.